Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful for You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Bold and the Beautiful fans are in for one of the most intense and morally charged storylines in recent memory, as Thomas Forrester finds himself at the center of a high-stakes, emotionally fraught dilemma that could have ramifications across multiple families. And it all begins with his shocking promise to bring Luna Nozawa out of her self-imposed or forced isolation with one condition that leaves everyone reeling, particularly Finn, Steffi, and Hope, who have each been deeply affected by Luna's erratic behavior and dangerous obsession with Finn. The script opens with Thomas pacing in his sleek Forrester Creations office, the walls lined with past sketches and iconic fashion pieces, as his mind races over the delicate balance he must strike between securing Luna's release and maintaining the fragile alliances that have begun to form among the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan clans, knowing that a single misstep could trigger violence, heartbreak, or betrayal, and yet he is undeterred, for Thomas has always been a master strategist, capable of turning emotional leverage into tactical advantage, and now he sees the perfect opportunity to leverage Luna's desperation for attention, her longing for connection with Finn, and her mother Poppy's increasingly cold, manipulative influence, to force a situation where Luna's freedom comes with strings attached. And those strings are not just any trivial demands, they involve the very lives and relationships of those closest to her, particularly Finn, whom she idolizes but also frightens, and Steffi, who has been trying desperately to protect both Finn and Luna from the fallout of Luna's obsession. A task that has left Steffi emotionally raw and increasingly confrontational toward Thomas, whom she suspects of manipulating the situation for his own mysterious reasons, as Thomas knows that to achieve his goal, he must present Luna with an ultimatum so audacious that it shocks even the hardened viewers at home. He will bring her out, free her from Lee Finnegan's strict supervision and the isolation that has driven her to the brink of emotional collapse, but only if she agrees to renounce any direct claims on Finn's attention. A demand that Luna perceives as nearly impossible, as her attachment to her father figure borders on obsession, and yet Thomas frames it as a path to agency, presenting himself as the only person capable of orchestrating such a delicate negotiation with Lee, who has been increasingly rigid and unforgiving, convinced that Luna's presence in Finn's life only brings danger, and while Thomas's motivations are opaque, he insists to Steffi and Hope that this plan is the only way to prevent a catastrophic showdown that could leave multiple people injured, or worse, dead. Meanwhile, Finn, who has been blindsided by Thomas's intervention, struggles with his own internal conflict, torn between his professional ethics as a physician, his moral obligation to protect his daughter from harm, and the deeply personal anguish of seeing Luna manipulated, yet he cannot ignore the fact that Thomas has a long history of cunning maneuvers and that underestimating him could result in irreparable damage, creating a tension-filled scenario that keeps viewers on edge as each character grapples with competing loyalties, the potential for betrayal, and the unrelenting pressure of high-stakes emotional drama, while at the same time, Hope Logan is forced to confront her own anxieties about her relationship with Liam, her protective instincts toward their family, and her fear that Luna's release under Thomas's terms could destabilize the fragile peace she has been striving to maintain. As the narrative unfolds, we see Luna wrestling with the moral and emotional ramifications of Thomas's condition, realizing that compliance would mean relinquishing the very connection to Finn that she has fought to maintain, a prospect that terrifies her yet also tempts her with the possibility of autonomy and a life free from her mother Poppy's manipulative control, whose increasingly callous decisions have alienated Luna and drawn sympathetic concern from Finn and Steffi, creating an intricate web of intergenerational conflict that underscores the show's thematic exploration of love, obsession, loyalty, and betrayal. And as Luna vacillates, Thomas orchestrates a series of encounters designed to test her resolve, placing her in situations where she must confront the consequences of her past actions, the pain she has inflicted on those she loves, and the tenuous nature of trust in a world where every move is scrutinized and every relationship is fragile, while Steffi, who has long struggled with her own feelings for Thomas and the ways in which his actions impact those around her, finds herself at a crossroads, torn between supporting Thomas's strategy, which could potentially safeguard Finn and Luna, and opposing it on ethical grounds, recognizing that coercion of any kind may have lasting psychological consequences for Luna, whose vulnerability has been exploited repeatedly in the past, and yet the drama escalates further as Hope, whose intuition and maternal instincts are finely attuned, begins to suspect that Thomas's conditions are not merely about protecting Luna, but may also serve his own hidden agenda, a realization that fuels her determination to intervene, challenge Thomas's authority, and assert her voice in a plan that she fears is veering dangerously close to manipulation, all while Liam, caught in the periphery of these machinations, struggles to balance his desire to support Hope, his concern for Steffi's welfare, and his lingering protective instincts toward Luna, creating a perfect storm of interpersonal tension that the writers exploit masterfully, layering scenes of intimate confrontation with high-stakes negotiation, moral questioning, and the ever-present threat of dramatic reveals that could upend the carefully maintained equilibrium of the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families, and as the story hurtles forward, viewers are treated to sequences of raw emotional intensity, Thomas confronting Poppy, asserting that only he can guarantee Luna's safety if she adheres to his condition, Luna's tearful and conflicted deliberations as she wrestles with whether to sacrifice her obsession with Finn for the promise of freedom, Steffi's increasingly vocal objections, which she delivers with a combination of anger, fear, and desperate reasoning, emphasizing the real-world consequences of Thomas's plan, Finn's silent, internal torment, which is subtly conveyed through fleeting glances, tense body language, and moments of introspective dialogue, as he grapples with the paradox of protecting his daughter while not enabling her dangerous behavior, Hope's strategic interventions, where she attempts to negotiate with both Thomas and Luna, appealing to reason, emotion, and shared history, and in doing so, she risks alienating Finn and Steffi, complicating the alliances that are crucial for keeping the peace, and Poppy, whose icy, calculated approach serves as a foil to the empathy and compassion displayed by Finn and Steffi, reminding viewers that Luna's upbringing and familial pressures are inextricably tied to the moral ambiguities that fuel the show's narrative tension, all of which is further intensified by the looming specter of potential violence or catastrophic fallout should Luna reject Thomas's condition or misinterpret his intentions, creating a tightly wound drama in which every fortitude, the scene crackles with tension, the air thick with unspoken threats, promises, and the delicate dance of power that only he could orchestrate, setting the stage for an explosive series of events that will ripple through the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families, impacting relationships, professional alliances, and the very fabric of trust that binds these characters together, while the viewers, fully aware of Thomas's penchant for manipulation and Luna's unpredictable emotional state, are left on tenterhooks, debating whether she will comply, rebel, or find a third path entirely, and as the storyline progresses, it is clear that the writers are weaving a narrative that is not only about the surface-level drama of release, negotiation, and conditional freedom but also a profound exploration of human psychology, ethical dilemmas, parental influence, and the consequences of obsession, manipulation, and unbridled ambition, all encapsulated in a story arc that challenges characters and viewers alike to confront uncomfortable truths about loyalty, love, control, and the sometimes devastating cost of trying to protect the ones we love, and ultimately, Thomas's promise to bring Luna out with that shocking condition is not just a plot device but a narrative fulcrum, one that leverages years of history, intricate interpersonal relationships, and the high stakes that make the bold and the beautiful a cornerstone of serialized television drama, ensuring that each character's choices resonate far beyond the immediate scene, shaping future alliances, rivalries, and emotional trajectories, while keeping audiences hooked, breathless, and fully immersed in the tangled web of love, betrayal, moral ambiguity, and emotional intensity that has defined the show for decades. And as Luna finally reaches the moment of decision, the culmination of Thomas's manipulative brilliance, Poppy's cold oversight, Finn's tortured concern, Steffi's moral struggle, and Hope's protective instincts, the tension is so palpable that viewers can almost feel the weight of every glance, every word, and every hesitation, fully realizing that this single narrative thread, Thomas's promise with one shocking condition, is a microcosm of everything that makes the bold and the beautiful both irresistible and unpredictable, ensuring that the consequences of this storyline will reverberate through the characters' lives, shaping the next chapters of betrayal, redemption, love, and heartbreak in a way that only daytime drama can achieve, leaving audiences eagerly awaiting each episode, each confrontation, each moral reckoning, and each potential act of courage or selfishness, fully aware that in this high-stakes world, nothing is ever as simple as it seems, and that Thomas's shocking condition is merely the catalyst for a cascading series of events that will test loyalties, expose vulnerabilities, redefine relationships, and ultimately remind viewers why The Bold and the Beautiful remains a masterclass in serialized storytelling, emotional complexity, and the enduring appeal of watching flawed, passionate, and morally intricate characters navigate the treacherous waters of love, family, obsession, and ambition in ways that are as unpredictable as they are compelling, ensuring that the drama surrounding Thomas, Luna, Finn, Steffi, Hope, Poppy, and the interconnected Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families continues to enthrall, shock, and emotionally engage audiences episode after episode, week after week, with ramifications that will be felt for months to come, as viewers hold their breath, debate loyalties, and speculate on the next twists and turns in a story that exemplifies the very essence of what makes daytime television both addictive and emotionally resonant. And even as Luna contemplates her response to Thomas's audacious condition, the ripple effects extend to secondary characters, whose reactions, strategies, and personal dramas further enrich the narrative, creating a multidimensional tapestry of conflict, desire, manipulation, and redemption that ensures that every minute of screen time is charged with suspense, tension, and the raw emotional energy that has become the hallmark of The Bold and the Beautiful, a show that continues to redefine what serialized television can accomplish in exploring the intricate, high-stakes drama of human relationships, and ultimately, the story of Thomas promising to bring Luna out. With One Shocking Condition is a masterful blend of suspense, psychological intrigue, moral complexity, and emotional intensity, promising that viewers will be captivated by every choice, every confrontation, and every revelation, as the consequences of that single condition reverberate through the lives of all involved, challenging characters to confront their deepest fears, desires, and loyalties, while leaving audiences spellbound, debating what they would do in similar circumstances, and eagerly anticipating the next shocking development in a narrative that exemplifies the very best of daytime drama storytelling, blending high emotion, complex characterization, and the unpredictable twists that have made The Bold and the Beautiful a television institution for decades, ensuring that the fallout from Thomas's condition will be felt long after the immediate storyline concludes, shaping character arcs, relationships, and emotional trajectories for the foreseeable future, and providing viewers with the suspense, moral tension, and compelling drama that have always been the signature of the show, guaranteeing that Thomas's audacious promise, and the one shocking condition attached, will remain a topic of discussion, debate, and fascination among fans for weeks, months, and perhaps even years to come, as the consequences of his maneuver continue to unfold in unpredictable, emotionally charged, and highly dramatic ways that only The Bold and the Beautiful could deliver. As the storyline of The Bold and the Beautiful reaches a fever pitch, Thomas Forrester's audacious promise to bring Luna Nozawa out of her secluded turmoil with a single, shocking condition becomes the epicenter of a drama so intricate, so morally fraught, and so psychologically layered that it grips not only the characters within the narrative but also the viewers who have followed every twist of fate, every betrayal, and every fragile alliance that has long defined the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families. And as Thomas navigates the razor-thin line between manipulation and protection, the audience is given a front-row seat into the mind of a man who has long been defined by his capacity to wield emotional leverage with surgical precision, knowing that Luna, desperate for freedom, attention, and connection, is simultaneously the most vulnerable and the most dangerous pawn in a game that could explode at any moment, for she embodies both the innocence of a child, desperate for parental love, and the obsessive, almost pathological intensity of someone who has been shaped by neglect, manipulation, and isolation, and it is this duality that Thomas exploits with a cold, calculating brilliance, framing his condition as a moral test, a path toward autonomy, and yet an almost cruel trial that forces Luna to confront the terrifying prospect of relinquishing the one connection, her attachment to Finn, that has defined her emotional existence, all while Finn plan for the sake of Luna's safety and opposing it to prevent psychological trauma and ethical compromise, as she sees firsthand the subtle ways in which Thomas's charm and strategic brilliance mask the potential for emotional harm, and in the midst of this, Hope Logan, ever the moral compass, becomes the voice of conscience, tirelessly attempting to mediate between Thomas, Luna, Finn, and Steffi, yet constantly aware that her own presence in this maelstrom may be seen as interference, bias, or even as a threat to Luna's fragile sense of control. And while the narrative unfolds with Thomas orchestrating meetings, private confrontations, and emotionally charged dialogues designed to pressure Luna into compliance, viewers are treated to an escalating series of emotionally potent moments, Luna's inner monologue revealing her simultaneous longing for Finn's approval and fear of abandonment, her flashbacks to Poppy's increasingly cold and manipulative parenting that shaped her insecurities, and her acute awareness of the precarious nature of trust in her life, all conveyed through intimate scenes that reveal the depth of her emotional and psychological complexity. At the same time, Finn's internal struggle is depicted with subtle yet powerful visual and narrative cues, the fleeting glances, the tensely clenched fists, the almost imperceptible hesitations as he weighs the ethics of intervention against the potential danger of letting Luna's impulses run unchecked, and this is further complicated by his conflicted feelings for Steffi, whose own moral compass and deep connection to both Finn and Luna force him to question his own judgment, creating a network of interpersonal tension that is thick enough to cut with a knife, each character's choices rippling outward, impacting not only those directly involved but also secondary characters who are caught in the peripheral fallout, including Liam, whose concern for Hope and their family is tested as he witnesses the intricacies of Thomas's manipulative genius, and Poppy, whose icy, calculating demeanor serves as both obstacle and foil to Finn and Steffi's empathetic, morally guided approaches, as she subtly pressures Luna while attempting to maintain her own control over the narrative, heightening the stakes to a level that is simultaneously thrilling, terrifying, and heartbreakingly poignant. As the plot progresses, the tension escalates to nearly unbearable levels, with Thomas engineering situations where Luna must confront the consequences of her past actions, the emotional pain she has inflicted, the betrayal she has enacted, the love she has both sought and sabotaged, while simultaneously holding before her the tantalizing promise of autonomy and freedom, but always tethered to the one condition that threatens to unravel her very sense of identity. And in these moments, the script delves into philosophical and ethical territory rarely explored in daytime television, raising questions about coercion versus consent, protection versus manipulation, love versus obsession, and the moral responsibility of those who hold power over vulnerable individuals, all while keeping viewers emotionally invested and morally engaged, forced to consider what they themselves would do in the face of similar dilemmas. And Thomas, ever the master tactician, layers each scene with multiple levels of meaning, from the strategic, how to gain Luna's compliance and outmaneuver Lee Finnegan, to the emotional, how to appear protective without appearing controlling, to the narrative, how to set up future confrontations and alliances, ensuring that every line of dialogue, every glance, every hesitation carries weight, significance, and potential for dramatic escalation. And as Luna struggles, we witness her oscillation between fear, hope, defiance, and vulnerability, a roller coaster of emotion that not only deepens her character but also serves as a mirror to the audience's own emotional investment, forcing them to confront the uncomfortable truth that her choices are shaped not just by personal desire but also by the manipulations, interventions, and moral frameworks imposed upon her by Thomas, Finn, Steffi, Hope, and Poppy, creating a labyrinthine web of psychological tension that only intensifies as the condition is presented in its full, shocking magnitude. To gain her freedom, she must voluntarily relinquish any direct claim to Finn's time, attention, and affection, effectively asking her to choose between independence and the emotional bond that has become the cornerstone of her existence. And as the episode progresses, the narrative interweaves the perspectives of all key characters, from the anguished Finn silently observing the moral compromise he may be forced to sanction, to Steffi's impassioned, almost desperate confrontations with Thomas and Poppy, to Hope's attempts at mediation and advocacy, each layer adding depth, complexity, and escalating tension, while the supporting characters react in ways that are consistent with their histories yet surprising in their nuances, ensuring that every interaction, every reaction, every minor decision resonates with significance, shaping the unfolding drama into a masterclass of serialized storytelling. And yet, amidst all this psychological intensity, The narrative does not shy away from moments of shocking action and confrontation, with Thomas orchestrating near-physical showdowns, tense negotiation sequences where words serve as both weapons and shields, and emotionally charged scenes where Luna's compliance teeters on the brink of collapse, each heartbeat punctuating the stakes, each glance a silent signal of impending betrayal or revelation, and the interplay of moral ambiguity, personal desire, and strategic manipulation keeps the audience perpetually off balance, questioning motives, alliances, and the ultimate outcomes, while subtly foreshadowing further dramatic explosions that will reshape relationships across the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families, from potential romantic entanglements to professional rivalries, from deep-seated resentments to nascent alliances, ensuring that the reverberations of Thomas's audacious promise, and Luna's response, will be felt long after the immediate storyline concludes, shaping character arcs and narrative trajectories in ways that are emotionally compelling, morally challenging, and narratively satisfying, and as the climax of the episode approaches, viewers are treated to a crescendo of tension in which Luna, standing on the precipice of a life-altering decision, weighs the promise of freedom against the terrifying cost of relinquishing her emotional connection to Finn, while Thomas observes with a mixture of pride, apprehension, and strategic calculation. Finn struggles to reconcile his ethical obligations with his love for his daughter. Steffi oscillates between advocacy and protective fear. Hope pushes tirelessly to ensure fairness and safety, and Poppy exerts subtle manipulative pressure, all converging in a scene so taut, so emotionally charged, and so morally ambiguous that the audience is left breathless, fully invested in every word, glance, and action, knowing that the consequences of Luna's choice, and of Thomas's shocking condition, will ripple outward to affect every relationship, every alliance, and every hidden desire within the interconnected web of the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families, ensuring that this storyline not only captivates by emotions, noting that Thomas perceived her in ways Liam did not, while Liam provided her with a sense of security that Thomas could not. She felt torn between two identities, the woman she was expected to be with Liam and the woman she transformed into when she embraced the creative, exhilarating, and perilous connection she shared with Thomas. Ridge nodded slowly, conveying that love is seldom pure or rational, and that she need not have all her emotions resolved today. However, she must respect her own heart, even if it is chaotic, perplexing, and flawed. He reminded her that his life had been a complex weave of difficult decisions, that perfection is an illusion, that love does not adhere to conventions, and that she should not marry anyone until she is unequivocally certain of her choice. Hope experienced an unforeseen wave of thankfulness towards Ridge, since he, in contrast to Brooke, who urged her towards Liam, and Thomas, who implored her to select him, merely encouraged her to prioritize herself. This clarity, both simple and profound, unleashed a transformative realization within her. As Hope turned back toward the mansion, ready to confront Brooke, Liam, and the impending storm within, the glass doors swung open, revealing Liam on the threshold. His complexion was ashen, his eyes reddened, and his expression was one of profound betrayal and heartbreak. Upon seeing Hope alongside Ridge, something within him fractured, not with violence, but with a sorrowful resignation, a quiet implosion of a man who had endured excessive hope and disappointment. Liam descended the steps slowly and deliberately until he stood before Hope, fixating on her as the guests behind him fell silent. Hope instinctively reached out to him, desiring to elucidate and provide solace, yet Liam recoiled, anguish deeply etched on his visage. He murmured that he could pardon her for numerous transgressions, but he could not absolve her for deceiving herself. He asserted that he could not envisage a future with a woman whose heart was not wholly his, and that, albeit painfully and reluctantly, they had perhaps arrived at the conclusion of their cycle. He suggested that their tumultuous relationship needed to cease, not for his sake, nor for hers, but for Beth, who merited stability and honesty. Those words devastated Hope in unforeseen ways, for Liam had long been the one imploring them to remain together, yet now he was the one withdrawing, and that reversal pierced her emotional haze like a bolt of lightning. Within, the assembly whispered as the complete Forrester and Logan families congregated at the windows, observing the event transpire like powerless onlookers in an inescapable tragedy.